Welcome Blood Bowlers back to Bbpn. I'm your host Cadet Tank. We have everything you're looking for, coverage of the divisions, a poison panda, and that creepy guy that sits in my corner. And much, much more. Okay, so some quick updates. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Alright, I guess we'll jump into the crazy guy in my corner.
You forgot to clean up my corner again, Mr. Cadet. Do not anger me, Cadet. You wouldn't want to be on my naughty list, would you? That list right now is reserved only for red pandas. Certain red pandas that I... Speaking of which, there was a match that took place between me and a panda that will never be spoken of again, as the dice were rigged against me, and said opposing team had hidden weapons all over the field that they were using against me and my team. I have written a letter to the Referees Association as well as the league's front office, both containing my words of displeasure, as well as some white powder and some body parts of some people they should know and love. Anyways, it's me, that bamboozler, you know, Coach Zectorman, the greatest of them all, as if you didn't already know. What's this? A sudden chill? Is it the sudden chill of death on my back? Oh wait, is that snow? Well, snow, that could only mean by Nuffle that it's the holiday season, ladies and gentlemen. That means presents for all. Now for my friends, I give you this season a child's laughter. That was specifically for you, Mr. Stool, that I sit on in this corner, and for you, Mr. and Mrs. Dice, and for you, Mr. Gunn, my best friend. Now for my enemies. Let's just say the present is already there. You just haven't found it yet. It's the green box under the tree. You can't miss it. Just ignore the ticking. And for you that did not receive a present, well, don't worry. You'll be receiving your gift in person. Happy holiday, fellow coaches. See you back on the pitch, you poor, poor souls.
Hey, you know what? Scar, do you still need help over there? I know that zombie's been giving you a hard time and stuff. I might have a guy from a specific corner that could help you out. Alright, enough with this craziness. Let's go ahead and scoot over to Ace in the Core Division.
Welcome back to the Core Division Season 10, and we are into match day 7 so far. And let's go ahead and look at our leaderboards, go into the schedule, and then look at the teams. So we have Kalissimea taking the top spot finally at 5-1-0 with the Diamond Dogs, that Elven Union team that was just like the Space Marines, down to like, I think he was 8 players, and he is finally starting to get those wins coming in. The Norse dropping number 2 with 3-2-1, tied with the Chaos Dwarves, the Superfed 3-2-1. The Humans, the Space Marines, having a resilient comeback and coming up to 3-1-2 to take 4, tied alongside the Vipers NATTS Gang Orcs. 6 is going to be the Underworld at 2-2-2. And the Chaos are at 7th place at 1-3-2. Bring up 8, 9, 10 is the Ogres, Kislev, and Undead at 1-2-3, 105, and 105 respectfully. The Kislev, it comes down to this: if Chaos wins their next game, it's over. They cannot get in, do not pass go. As long as Chaos and Ogre, if Chaos wins one more game, Kislev and Undead are mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, or round 2 contention, I should say, not playoff yet. And it's going to be, and then the fight's going to be between Ogre and Chaos, which if Ogre loses their next game and Chaos wins, which Ogre most likely will lose because it is an Ogre team, they are also eliminated from round 2 contention, I believe, unless Underworld loses out as well. So pretty much all Underworld and Chaos has to do is win one more game, and they're pretty much in. So this is almost pretty much tied up. All Kalissimea has to do is win one more game, and he pretty much has the one spot completely tied. And it's just going to be a race between 2 through 6. Let's go ahead and look at our schedule. I believe and we'll go ahead and look from 4 onward here. So we had the Underworld team take a 2-1 win over the Kislev. The Chaos take a 0-2 win over the Undead. A 1-1 draw between the Chaos Dwarves and Ogres, which is surprising. Diamond Dogs take the 2-1 win over the Space Marines. And the Orcs go down 3-0 to the Norse. Coming in, we have the Chaos Dwarves coming back and taking a win against the Underworld. The Diamond Dogs take yet another win, a 3-0 blowout over the Undead. The Orcs destroy the Kislev 2-0. The Norse take a 1-0 victory over the Chaos. And the Space Marines start their comeback with a 3-1 win over the Ogres. Day 6, we have the Orcs take a 2-1 win over the Underworld. The Callisto Man wins yet again with that team at 2-1 over the Wolves. The Space Marines take a 3-1 win over Chaos Dwarves, of all things, with their depleted roster. The Undead lose 2-1 to the Ogres. And the Kislev finally pick up their first win of the season, 2-0 against Chaos. And we have nothing played so far in Day 7. So let's go ahead and do a quick rundown of the teams before I go in, and I'll make predictions for the final games here. So we have Superfed with the Chaos Dwarves. He does have a level 4 Bull Centaur with block, Mighty Blow, tackle, and a second Bull Centaur. Looks like it died, and it's just not getting SSP. 1 guard, 1 Mighty Blow, niggle, block, dodge. So he still has yet to get that sure hands or block. Dirty Player and wrestle. I mean, he can still do it, but man, he needs some SSP, especially on these dwarves that have literally none. He needs to get that guard going. He needs to get a dedicated ball carrier, or it's not going to be an easy round 2. Then we have the Undead. Only the dead walk. It looks like he has lost a skeleton finally with that AV7. His block skeleton taking a minus AV to 6. I do not see him long for this world anymore. The ghouls still have yet to level. 1 mummy with guard. The whites are still delete level. Almost 0 levels 6 games in for this team on the very key players he needs levels for. If he does make it in round 2, I'm not seeing him go very far, as he really needs these skills. Like Blodge, Raj for the ghouls, maybe some Mighty Blow or guard with the whites. He's just missing so many key skills that he's going to need to go deep. Discum finally getting his first win with this bear build here. He does have a lineman with minus movement, an AB7 lineman here. Finally got dodge and on the catcher. Another catcher has leveled up, another lineman has leveled up. Blitzer still has just to level up, and I still do not see that second Blitzer, but with how many deaths and injuries he's been taking, it wouldn't surprise me that he doesn't. But this 150k might go to a new one, or he might be saving it for a replacement for next time someone dies. But who knows? But we'll see how, if he can claw his way into round 2, or if it's just going to be a pipe dream. The Chaos, who are also fighting for that very last position. It looks like he did lose a Beastman, or a Minotaur. I don't remember if he had a Minotaur. He is missing a Chaos Warrior with block next game. That is terrible, but it's nothing serious, just a broken jaw. And block, he does have one cast away from leveling, and with 1 MVP away. My Blow Beastman, a block Beastman, he still has yet to get kick, maybe even a dirty blow, or a dirty player. No sure hands, no extra arms, no dedicated ball carrier yet, so like my Chaos team, until you get some skills, do not expect to go far, do not expect to win a lot, maybe some draws, but it's going to be a hard round 2 if he gets in. Then we have Yarik's Ogres. The movement, agility, Noblar is still alive, and he is 1 SSP from going up to level 4, and if he gets block, oh my goodness, it's going to be ridiculous. He does have 1 with strong arm for those throws, break, tackle, and guard, and yes, he does have the 6 ogre. So if he can get those numbers, get some quick touchdowns, then maybe knock some players out, he could win a few more games. I mean, he's not out of it, but he's slowly slipping out of those standings. Then we have the Space Marines from Cadet Tank. What was 880 is now 1280.
We stood at the edge of destruction and would have fallen, if not for the might of the God Emperor and his angels of death. Forged in blood, tempered in battle, we are the living weapons of humanity. I am a space marine.
And yes, he finally has a full complement back, though one is AB7, which is Rogel Dorn. Makes sense with, you know, his hand being chopped off, so a little less armor, so AB7 makes sense. Mighty Blow piling on, Blodge, the thrower getting accurate and Hail Mary pass to just completely long bomb those balls. The catcher getting plus a G, so he's just going to go everywhere he wants. The other catcher getting that movement allowance, so he's starting to turn into that one-score touchdown threat, and a guard lineman. Granted, he doesn't have a lot of... He has skills, but he still needs a few more, as, you know, round 2 is a lot harder to get through with only 5 games, and you need as many skills as possible to beat those teams. But this is Cadet. He can make this work. He's making an amazing comeback, and I look forward to see how he does in round 2. The 1300 Norse, the Norsecan Wolves by Werecaster. So we have a Blodge runner. Both Ulf Runners get blocked. The Yeti has still yet to level, but he's probably just more of a roadblock or big guy killer than anything. Both Berserkers have Tackle, Mighty Blow, 1 guard, and 1 kick. So he has the kick to control where that ball goes, 1 guard for a little support. But these guys right here, along with the Ulf Runners, are going to be his main attack force. Get that runner down there. But it looks like he has lost the lineman. So a great team coming in. Still pretty much intact for AB7. Has enough to replace him if need be. And I can see him going very deep if that AB7 holds and he keeps finding the teak armor from the Wood Elves from last season. Then we have the Orcs. The Viper's NATTS gang. So a Black Orc takes a minus agility to AG1, which, who cares? It's a Black Orc. They're not dodging nowhere. Blitzer with Blodge, Blitzer with Mighty Blow Tackle, and a lineman with Block. So, just like Chaos, they come with a few skills, i.e. Block, but he needs a few more. Some more support, especially on these Black Orcs, maybe some Guard, Block, Mighty Blow, etc., etc. And he needs a dedicated block area, which he has yet to pick up. So, I'm guessing it might be Distorn who might turn into that, unless he picks up a thrower, but he could have some issues going in if he doesn't start getting these support skills he really needs on some key players. The Diamond Dogs, the RBB, and if you look at that, yes, you were seeing that right. He is the top of the league, yet he only has 8 players. This goes to show you how much Elven BS goes on. He finally gets the 2 Blitzers to 2, getting both of them Blodge with that sidestep. Thrower has Dodge, 3 SSP from getting probably blocked for Blodge. Catcher also has Blodge. Catcher up to Dodge. He has a Niggle, and the lineman has Yet. I would say he needs more skills to continue, but I mean, he's showing he knows how to do it. It's elves. They can pull off some extreme elvish dickery, and he is showing this that season. Expect him to at least make playoffs. I don't know if go through with all the Mighty Blow tackle that will probably be in there by that point, but he will be making the playoffs. And finally, Vapor Gecko, the Underworld team. It seems like he's lost a few players. That or he's just trying to screw with me here and just have a big old gap. 6 Gobos still yet to level. He needs to start getting these leveled, especially like 2 heads for that 2+ dodge through all those tackle zones. Skaven Thrower gets leader, so he gets that extra team reroll. Block on the thrower, so he can stay up a little bit more. The Skaven Blitzer does get Mighty Blow Claw, so he's your dedicated killer. And the Warpstorm Tro has leveled up, and of course, also taken Claw, so he's going to be the big guy killer and the roadblock. Could be a very dangerous team, especially if you start seeing these Gobos up in level, but it's coming around pretty well. He's getting his killers, he's getting his support, and I could see him going pretty deep if he can get a little bit more development. So with all that, my predictions, if we are done by the next week, I see Callisimea is going to be the number 1 in the division easily. I'd probably see Super over the Norse, though, in number 2, as the Norse do have AB7. I do see him losing a few more players before the end of round 1. Humans, I could see Cadet just ending at 4th, but if he keeps this resurgence, I could see him at 3 and Chaos Dwarf moving to 4, but I think 4 is a much more realist position of it, because Chaos Dwarves are strong. Even with only 1 guard, it's Chaos Dwarves, they're annoying. Orcs, I see just staying where they are. With almost no key skills, he is going to start finding it harder and harder to punch people down. And I could actually see him dropping to the Underworld, as the Underworld is developing actually very well. And I could see him jumping up to 5. And if I had to say, I'd say Chaos are going to end it at 7, with the Ogre, Kislev, and Undead all being knocked out. And it's going to be Elven, Chaos Dwarf, Norse, Human, Orc, Chaos Dwarf, Human, Orc, Underworld, Chaos. And that's going to be your winners from round 1. But until next time, guys, I'll see you around, and don't let those dice piss you off too much.
I'm still rooting for the Ogren, really, myself, hoping that they'll make it through. Alright, nice job, Ace. Great coverage for that division. Alright, so let's go ahead and kick it over to Panda in the MCC.
Hello, Panda fans, and we are coming back at you. The face cam is down this week, so I apologize for that. So let's take a look at what we got coming up in our leagues, shall we? Oh, sorry, I'm also suffering a bit of a cold, so I apologize in advance. So let's go take a look at the MCC. Looks like they're on match day 6 of 9, so they're right on track. So instead of diving into the teams like we've done the last few weeks, we're going to take a peek at the schedule and just do some predictions, since I'm a bit under the weather today. So we have a couple games played already, so I guess that's all right, and we'll take a look at the next match day as well. So Pink Axe's Tasserin versus King of the Rings. King of the Rings. Who do we got? McMackey with the Chorfs. That's going to be a tough fight for Tasserin. McMackey's been on a roll. So if I had to pick who would win this game, I should probably pick the Chorfs, but I can't do that in good conscience, so I'm going to back my boy Tasserin. Tasserin, don't fail me. I believe in you. Next up, Ghost of Nuffles Pass versus the Northern Wastes. That's Pegleg with his Chaos versus Resin's Undead. As you can see, Pegleg is at 940. He's had 5 losses this season. And the Ghosts are sitting at 1, 2, and 2. I'm going to give the edge to the Undead here, especially 5 losses probably means not a lot of levels going around, or at least there hasn't been, so Chaos really needs the levels to stay up and running, and we're a little bit late into the first round. The Revengeancers and Christmas Ghost Mummies. Sector Man with the Kimry versus, let's see, sorry, we're having troubles today. A Hobo Suave with 1070 Dwarf. Zector's had a few good games lately. He's definitely shored up the Kimry team. The Dwarfs are going to need some big hits or some big inducements to stay in, which they just might get, but I'm going to go ahead and give the game to Zector. These areas already played. Alright, let's take a look forward. Or we'll take a look at the leaderboard, and then we'll take a look forward for the next match day as well. So, McMackey, he's been doing some big things with the Chorfs, but I gotta believe in my boy Tass. So I think he can take it down. So it's not very surprising. Scar's had a rough season, so he's down here toward the bottom. These can all change really quickly. The first seed is not locked in by any means. He can easily eat a single loss, and then this whole thing goes out the window. So we'll have to see what happens. Peg Leg's pretty much locked in as out for the season, 0, 0, and 5. Rez is not out yet, but he is teetering dangerously close to the brink. And the rest of this isn't too surprising. So let's take a look at the next match day and see who's playing who. SmackDown versus the Scandians. I believe that is Goat Boy. Yeah, it's Goat Boy versus Crayon. So the Norse have been fed quite a bit this season. You see they're sitting up here at around 1300 as opposed to Nurgle's 1140. If Nurgle gets the armor breaks, it's going to be great, but if Crayon can hunt the Rotters and put the paint on, I think he's going to come out on top. So I'm going to give the advantage to the Scandians. The Revenge Answers versus Rogue Apothecaries. Hope of Suave again, with the Dwarfs coming in at 1070, and the Rogue Apos. Scar's Bretonian team. Scar's had a rough season, and he definitely needs this win to lock in. Moving on to round 2, I think he's going to pull it off. He's done some good things with the Bretts, and he's also part of the Bbpn staff, so I got to believe in him. Ghost of Knuckles Pass versus Christmas Ghost Mummies. Alright, so this one should be interesting. Resin, who is close to the bottom with 1300, versus Zectorman's Chemrine. It's going to be do or die. If the mummies show up and do work against their Chemrine mummy counterparts, then it's all going to be good. But I think Zectorman's going to put the paint on Rez here. So we'll give him the advantage for the match day. Pink Axes versus Northern Wastes. My boy Tasserin again versus Peg Leg. Peg Leg's pretty much out. I don't think he has much to prove. Tasserin is solid middle of the pack. He's going to want the better seed, so I think he's going to try to put as much hurt on the Chaos as he can. And I'm going to hand it over to Tasserin for the advantage. And then we have Dark Elves versus the Chorfs. This will probably be the bloody game, depending on how Hikaru hands it. He was in the playoffs last season or the season before. I don't remember 100%, but he was in the playoffs. So he can definitely give Magmaki a run for his money, especially with the AG4 bash. The flip side is, well, if Magmaki picks up a level or can put the paint on the Dark Elves, it's going to be a good game. So, alright guys, that's it for now. We're feeling sick.
Panda's sick? Right when Bamboozler shows up on the scene? I believe this requires an investigation from the HR department. Anyway, good job Panda for sticking in there and getting it done. Alright, so let's kick it over to Callisti in the VGP division.
Hello and welcome to what promises to be yet another thrilling installment of action from match days 4 and 5 of Season 10 NATTS League VGP Division. I'm your host, Callisti Mayer, the Golden Apple of Discord, and we have some crazy action for you this week. So let's get straight on into it and take a look at the matches that have been played for match days 4 and 5. So starting off, match day 4, we had the High Rock Horde in a convincing win over the Knights Panther Chargers. This was a matchup between the brutish division leading Orcs versus the closer to the bottom of the division human team. So this wasn't entirely unexpected. Then we had the Marvel Heroines in a convincing 2-0 win over Roanoke, the Skaven team. So the Marvel Heroines is an Amazon team, and they brought it to the Skaven team. In a similar note, the Pro Elf team, Twist and Shout, won 2-0 over the Grudge Bearers. So proving that Elf beats Dwarf time and time again. Splinter, the coach of the Twist and Shout, proved that maxim yet again. The Westies Surf Besties lost valiantly to the Nerdgals, coached by Storm, in a 2-1 defeat. So it looks like the 2-1 grind happened there, and the Nurgle team walked away with the win. And then we had the Beards of Myth in a 2-0 win over the Brickstown Varsity. So Dwarves beating the Amazons. That's Floopy versus Vort, who's the coach of the Brickstown Varsity, and that was another 2-0 win. Moving on to match day 5, we had the Knights Panther Chargers valiantly losing 2-1 to Roanoke, the Skaven team. We had the Grudge Bearers and the High Rock Horde in a slugfest that seemed to stay in the middle of the pitch without anybody really getting close to scoring. It seemed to be like a battle of attrition that wasn't. Let's take a look at that match and to see even if there were any injuries. There was one injury for the Dwarves, and more than that, there was 3 for the Orcs. So it looks like this was a slugfest. The Orcs got some injuries. Other than that, pretty unexceptional. Then we had the Nurgles winning 1-0 over the Marvel Heroines. So the Nurgles is the Nurgle team, and is coached by Storm, getting off to a bit of a slow start for the Season 9 champ. But now he seems to be ramping up to speed, and he's getting a few wins now, so he's probably middle of the pack. We'll look in a moment. And beating the Marvel Heroines, the Amazon team, coached by Steeler Daddy, I think they're having a poor to middling season so far, so I'm not quite sure how Steeler Daddy is going to turn that around. Then we had the Brickstown Varsity losing 1-0 to the Twist and Shout. So the Elves again bringing it to the Elves bringing it to the Amazons and proving their superiority. Always like to see that. I'm a Pro Elf coach myself. Then we had the Beards of Myth beating the Westies Surf Besties convincingly in a 2-0 win. So that's the Dwarf team versus, I believe, Westies Surf Besties is Underworld, yes. But it doesn't look, I think that maybe this was a game that wasn't played because there's 0 stats. Yeah. So this was an admin win for the Beards of Myth. Looking ahead to week 6, we already have one game been played. It was a stall. Nothing happened with Twist and Shout, the Pro Elf team versus the Nurgles. Bit of a stalemate. Let's take a quick look. So the Twist and Shout had a little bit more of the possession. They had pass. They had the Nurgles obviously beat them quite convincingly on a number of blocks and injuries and kills. They inflicted a kill, the Nurgles, and they inflicted some good injuries there as well. So looks like Twist and Shout were trying to do some elf bullshit and just got punished for it, and they both walked away with a draw. So probably a frustrating game for the Twist and Shout, and mildly positive for the Nurgles. I know that Twist and Shout's doing quite well, and then the Nurgles are on a resurgence. So good result for the Nurgles, probably a little bit disappointing for Twist and Shout. Looking ahead to the other games that are going to be played today and tomorrow. It's time for recording, it's Saturday, so they only have today and tomorrow to play these games. We have Beards of Myth versus the Knights Panther Chargers. I'm predicting it's an admin win. So Beards of Myth are going to win that one, I would imagine, unless they're the ones that dropped. One of these teams is going to get a 2-0 win. Then we have the Brickstown Varsity versus the West East Surf Besties. I'm going to predict a win for the Brickstown Varsity. I'm thinking 2-1 win. Then we have the Grudge Bearers versus the Marvel Heroines. I think the Grudge Bearers are going to win this one. And I'm predicting 2-1 again. Although alternatively, I could also just see this being a draw, like a 1-1 draw. But no, I do think that the Grudge Bearers are going to win that one. And then we have Roanoke versus the High Rock Horde. High Rock Horde is just doing so well. I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for the High Rock Horde. Okay, so let's have a little quick look at team development. Now, I think last week we covered West East Surf Besties, we covered the Knights Panther Chargers. No, we didn't, because the Knights Panther Chargers were already out. So West East Surf Besties, we covered the Brickstown Varsity, and I think we covered AI. We didn't cover the Beards of Myth because I wasn't sure if they were still in it, and we covered, I believe, Twist and Shout. So let's do Beards of Myth, and then Steeler Daddy and Minimo 1. Okay, so going right into it. Beards of Myth, coached by Floopy, or Floopy Chops 2 as his official name. So we got Thor, the Troll Slayer, with a level up. He already has 1. Oh, I see. So he got his second level, but he hasn't taken anything yet. Yeah, so he's got 1. He just got his second level at 21 of 16 SPP, and he took a Mighty Blow originally. We have another Troll Slayer that hasn't leveled yet. He's very close to it. We have Loki, one of the runners who is close to leveling. He's touchdown away, so I'm sure he can. Floopy can sort of just focus on getting him that touchdown. Maybe farm a little bit of SPP his way. Then we have Hercules, the other runner who's taken block. And we have 2 blitzers that haven't leveled yet, and we have a whole bunch of linemen that are in various states of attaining their first level, ranging from absolutely nothing to 1 SPP away. Not a whole lot of leveling on this team. I think Floopy might have missed a game. Also, Dwarves aren't like the super fast leveling team, so it's usually quite low score lines, and until they start sort of really getting further skills on their team, like Mighty Blow and Guards, they aren't probably doing as many casualties as they'd like either. So a little bit of slow development right now, but still building well. The team's doing well. Let's have a look at the stats. I have no doubts he's probably going to qualify for round 2. Steeler Daddy, let's take a look at you with your Marvel Heroines, the Amazon team. So I can see you've got Dauntless on one of your blitzers, you've got Mighty Blow on another. The Mighty Blow one is actually close to leveling again, so that's great. I would possibly consider taking Tackle. Yeah, that would be a good choice. If this is going to be your killer piece, go Tackle. That's where you can deal with any of those agility teams like yourself. And then we also have, as far as other levels go, we have this Ms. Marvel, line woman who's taken blodge, or had now taken block and has now blodge. Other than that, not a huge amount of development either. We have 1 blitzer that's a touchdown away from leveling. The catchers are still quite underdeveloped. I would be expecting to see at least a level on both of them. So because they are a great offensive tool with the catch skill. It gives you your thrower something to do, which you haven't leveled your thrower at all. So obviously passing the ball isn't part of your game plan. Yeah, let's have a look at the stats or the win-draw loss ratio. So we have 1 and 1 and 4. So you're probably scraping the bottom of the pack. I'm not quite sure how close to the bottom you are, but yeah, you need to get a few wins under your belt to make sure that you qualify for round 2. And then lastly, we're going to look at High Rock Horde, coached by Minimo1. Last time I checked, this team was atop of the division leaderboard. I imagine he's at the top or very close to it right now. So how's the High Rock Horde developing? So let's take a look. We have one Blitzer with Mighty Blow and Tackle. Good choice. Another one with Mighty Blow. Another one with Tackle. And then we have three Black Orcs, all of whom have taken block. As they level, you want to get guard on them, and then they're just a nightmare. I would also consider getting Mighty Blow is good for your blitzers, but I would also consider getting guard. And then for your thrower, you've taken Fend, which is, I think, is a good choice. Although I would also think about getting block just to give him some protection. He doesn't have dodge, he doesn't have block. Fend would probably be a later choice for me. It's a good choice. I think once you've developed this thrower a bit more, it'll be great, because then you can have him as a ball carrier, and then somebody blitzes him, and if he has blodge or just block, a push, you're not able to follow up. If he has dodge, then you know, a defender stumbles, you won't be able to follow up either. So it gives you a little bit of space. You can run away with your ball carrier and not have to worry about dodging out of tackle zone. So it's a good choice, just not quite now would be my thoughts on it. We have a lineman out. Statistics wise, you know, the win-draw loss ratio, you're doing really well. You're 4-1 and 0. So you just had the one draw. But when I checked a few weeks ago, you were like 100% batting 100, or batting 1,000, and now you just have this one draw, which is fine. I'm sure you're probably at or very close to the top of the leaderboards. You're doing well, nothing to complain about. But you just need to get those the rest of your team, or your team in general, leveled up. The high points of your development definitely are these Black Orcs, getting block on them. That's really, really impressive. If you can get block on that fourth final one, and then start getting guard on them, then you're just transforms your team entirely. They become a lot more scary. For block guard Black Orcs on the line, or just sort of as this wall of oppression and suffering for the opposite team, it's kind of intimidating. And then your blitzers are developing fine as well. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. Oh, so we actually have, it's because Splinter's played one more game and got a draw, so he's actually 1 point ahead of the High Rock Horde. So we'll see what happens when the High Rock Horde plays their game, but right now it is Twist and Shouts, the Pro Elf team. Then we have the Orc team, High Rock Horde, and then we have the Beards of Myth, which is a Dwarf team coached by Floopy Chops 2. And then we have the Nurgles, the Nurgle team coached by Storm. Started off very slow. I think one lost the first 2 games, and has now sort of turned it around and is now sitting pretty with 2-2-2, middle of the pack. And even if he doesn't do any more than that, just builds his team and just keeps a record that puts him around that mark, he's going to be happy. Then we have the Grudge Bearers, coached by Cordurus. with a 1-4-1 record, so just a point behind the Nurgles. Then we have the Brickstown Varsity, which started out strong and has since sort of fallen a bit from grace, coached by Vort, with a 2-0-3 record. Then we have the Skaven team, Roanoke, with a 1-2-2. Then the Marvel Heroines, coached by Steeler Daddy, the Amazon team, with a 1-1-4. Then we have the Underworld team, the newish Underworld team, Westies Surf Besties, coached by Nerdfrog. Just struggling to catch up. They have a 0-2-3 record, and then we have the Knights Panther Chargers with a 0-2-3 record also. We're now getting to that point where the 6th game is being played. You're starting to see who's going to be going through to round 2 and who's going to be battling to go through to round 2, and then who's going to be probably not going through to round 2. So I think qualifying for round 2, so it's the first 6 teams with the 7th place teams going into a special wildcard playoff for the 24th spot in the playoffs. So I think qualifying for the 6th and 7th spot is still a little bit up in the air. I don't think the Westies Surf Besties stand much of a chance. They may do. I think that, but other than that, I think that Marvel Heroines, Roanoke, Brickstown Varsity, they're all very capable of making it through and getting that 6th spot or maybe even qualifying for the wildcard spot in 7th. For the teams that are sort of middle of the pack, so we're talking the 2 Dwarf teams and the Nurgle team, I think they just need to have some consistency. I think if Cord just carries on getting draws, he's going to qualify. He might be on the lower end of the spectrum, but he's going to qualify for round 2. I think the Nerdgles are coming into their own now, so I think they're probably going to end up getting a win or 2 more. With 3 games left to play, I think there's like at least another win in this team, so that's going to put them at 3-2-2, and that should be enough for them to qualify as well. And then we have the Beards of Myth, who are doing well. I think they are going to qualify. I think that it's going to be a relatively high spot. I think that Floopy has a good head on his shoulders. I think he's going to do well. I'm not sure if he's going to be challenging for 1st or 2nd. I think he's probably going to remain in 3rd where he is. And then we have the battle between the High Rock Horde and Twist and Shout. Personally, I would love to see Splinter sort of end up at topping the division. That would make 2 Pro Elf teams topping 2 of the 4 divisions, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I think the High Rock Horde is they've got a game in hand. They're only 1 point behind. If they win this, they're 2 points ahead, and the Orc team is just so strong. Orcs in general are so strong to start off with. You put them in the hands of a capable coach, and it's playoff bound team. So personally, I'd like to see the Twist and Shout end up top of the division, but I can see them coming in 2nd and the High Rock Horde being 1st. Okay, so that covers it for this week. Next week we're going to be covering match days 6 and 7. And possibly even 8, depending on how fast you guys are working. Although next week is the extended weeks, I believe. So over the Christmas period, merry festive season to all of you, by the way. Over the holiday period, the actual length for rollover is going to be extended. So you're actually going to have a little bit more time to play. If you manage to get your games done, the divisions will push like normal. If you were crazy and decided to get your games done each day, then we'd push each day. But if you are going away and you're not able to play your games over the Christmas period, we have extended the push dates so that you're not under all that pressure to play. If you can play, great. If you can't, then I think you have until the new year to get your games in. Do check with Corderus though on that one. I'm not quite sure what the dates are. Okay, so that's all from me. And remember, there's scoring and then there's Callisti scoring.
Man, High Rock Horde looks like a force to be reckoned with. Oh, well, we'll see in round 2 for sure, right? Alright, so, with the VGP division concluded, let's get a quick word from our hooligan with the games of the week, and then we will go to Scar in the CDT division.
You really are an asshole. Why don't you just shut up and sing that song, pal? I'm an asshole, yo, 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 yo. I'm an asshole. The world's biggest asshole. A-S-S-H-O-L-E. Everybody, A-S-S-H-O-L-E.
Alright, what a season this is turning out to be here, lads. Season 10, season of futility, more like season of fatality. So, as you can see, games of the week are still going up there. Weeks 3, 4, and of course 5 have all been posted up. 6 and 7 coming very shortly. Thank you all for your love, support, your echoes, your thoughts. It always makes it all worth it. And just remember, as you're out there, if Nuffle's not blitzing your dice, well, let's be serious about it.
Bring out today!
I love this game.
Okay, I swear to whatever fucked up god the undead believe in, if you try to bite me one more time, I'm gonna rip off your arm and beat you back to death with it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Hello coaches, welcome to the coverage of the CDT division. I am Scar, your resident Dark Knight of the Void, and boy do we have a lot to cover. We start with the latest games and their outcomes, then it's off to an in-depth look at how the teams have grown over time, and finally we have a quick look at the leaderboard to see where everyone is. We got a lot to go over, so let's get started. Well, this was disappointing. Apparently the Spanish Inquisition was too busy crusading to actually come to their game, leading in a very disappointing 0-2 concession. Alright, going up to the top of the 5th day, we have the Nobles tying versus Agents of Dwarf 0-0. And you could tell, considering this was a Dwarf versus Elf team, and there being 0 deaths and 0 goals, that this was a very frustrating game for both coaches. Next up, we have the Mean Green Dream winning against the Tiger Rats 1-0. And considering there are no deaths in this game, I can only assume that the survivors have learned how to not die. Next up, we seem to have gotten into a bizarre anti-world with Not Dead Just Yet winning against the Flying Floose 2-1. Seriously, when has a Chimera team even gotten 2 touchdowns, let alone against an elf team? What is going on? Next up, we have Plan Z tying with the Horus Heretics 1-1, and they even managed to kill 2 heretical goatmen in the process. This is a slight improvement over Plan Z's prior games, but they're really going to have to do more than tie a game if they want to be seen in the next round. Then finally we have the Spanish Inquisition triumphantly returning with a win versus Monsterpocalypse 2-0, which would be Monsterpocalypse's first loss. Great job, Inquisition. Meanwhile, on day 6, we have the Flying Floose beating Agents of Dwarf 2-0. It kind of seems like the Flying Flutes finally figured out what this ball thing and how to use it, while managing to stay away from that dwarf fist. Next up, we have Monsterpocalypse coming back with a vengeance and winning versus the Nobles Trouble 3-1. This is a very high-scoring game, especially considering it's an undead team. I guess those werewolves got a bit of a workout. And for the final game played so far, we have Not Dead Just Yet winning against the Horus Heretics 1-0. Not that surprising an end score considering it's a Chimeri team, but the lack of deaths are very disappointing. Now, the last 2 games to be played is between Plan Z Didn't Work and the Mean Green Dream, and between the Spanish Inquisition and the Tiger Rats. When it comes to Plan Z versus Mean Green, I'm gonna have to put my money on the Mean Green Dream. They seem to be doing pretty well, unlike Plan Z, but I'm hoping to be surprised because, let's face it, ogre teams are just fun to watch. As with the Spanish Inquisition versus the Tiger Rats, I kinda think this is 50-50. I want to root for the Spanish Inquisition because I have a soft spot for Bretonnians, though. You know, it has been too long since we've taken a good long look at these teams. So let's take a peek at their roster and see how they're developing. Starting with the Horus Heretics. And it seems like they're doing pretty well for themselves. Both Mangus and Fulgrim both have block, with Fulgrim going the extra mile with Blage, making him the star player of this team so far. We also have Craig with Sure Hands, making him a very valuable backfield ball management piece. And Kelborhal with 4 agility, making him very, very foulable. But everything doesn't look so rosy, since they have at least 1 Beastman death, and 1 with a niggling injury, adding 1 to any subsequent injury roll. I don't think Armin is going to be in this team once the gold starts rolling in. So sad. Next up, let's take a look at the unexpected champions of this division, Not Dead Just Yet. Let's see what their winning tactic is. And it seems like bash bash and more bash. We have at the top Sandstorm, a Toon Guardian with Mighty Blow. We have Sans, a Blitzra with Mighty Blow Pile On, making him a very nice kill piece. We have Ahmed, the Dead Terrorist, a Thrower with Leader and Block. We also have 2 Skeletons, Akbar and Abbas with Block, and Albigad with Kick. Very interesting, very well developed team. Next up, it's the Tiger Rats. Let's see how they are doing. Well, it kinda seems like they've already gone through the blender multiple times. I see both Storm Vermin going with the all-important Mighty Blow, and 1 lineman with Block, and that's about it. I'm not sure exactly how well this team is going to be doing now, considering how late in the first round we are, but you never know with this game. Next up, we have Robble Noble's Trouble. That's still really hard to say. Let's take a look at how these guys are growing. Well, nothing on the catchers. We have a Blitzer with Blage, making him hard to kill. And the second Blister with 5 agility, making him once again a very nice foul target. We also have a lineman with that all-important kick, another one with dodge, and 2 with wrestle. It seems, well, at least a deep bench. We have 1 with a niggling, nope, just a mix next game, he'll be fine. And another one with a minus armor value. You might want to fire that guy. Next up, it's the Mean Green Dream. Let's see how this Bash Fest is developing. And it seems very one-sided. We have a Blitzer with Mighty Blow Pylon, making a grand kill piece. We also have another Blitzer with Guard, and lucky enough to get Blage. Well, but that's about it. There is 2 Black Orcs on the verge of a level up, but nothing else to really talk about. Next up, it is the Division's punching bag, the Flying Flutes. Let's see how the survivors are doing. We have 1 catcher opting for block, the other one going for a more passive and support role with wrestle. We have one lineman with kick, another one lucky enough to get guard, and two blitzers with level up, one opting for tackle for those annoying ball carriers, and another with guard to help the rest of the team. There is one with an injury, just a mixed Knicks game, he'll be fine. So this team is actually developing relatively well for the number of setbacks it's had. Next up, it's this division's underdog, Plan Z didn't work. Let's take a look at how they are growing. We have Plan Alpha with block, Plan Beta with break tackle. We also have Life of Plan Pi with sprint for those faster plays. But Plan Omega does seem to have been hurt with a +1 to future injuries. But I guess since they have both Stunty and Titchy, you sort of expect them to get hurt whenever they go down anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Next up is our other champion of our division, Monster Apocalypse. Let's see what their winning tactic is. We have Mr. Hyde with both block and guard, making him a very intimidating star piece. We have Freddy Krueger 2 with Mighty Blow and sitting on a second level up, probably tackle. And we have Jason Voorhees sitting on his first level up, probably following Freddy Krueger's path and go with Mighty Blow. We have Wolfman with 4 strength, making him very intimidating, but I think we saw this the last time we looked at him. We also have Pumpkinhead with sure hands, but a minus to armor value, so he's very squishy. We also have Romer, a zombie with kick, and Rudder, a zombie with guard. But it seems like the other wolf, She-Wolf, has taken a minus to movement value, so this team hasn't completely gotten away unscathed. Next is the Spanish Inquisition. Let's see what they're up to. We have Surprise opting for pass first instead of sure hands or dodge. I don't agree with this. Also Diabolical Laughter with Mighty Blow. I guess when you roll doubles you gotta go for it. We also have the Rack with guard and one with guard as well. Not as well developed as I would like to see them, but they have sort of gone through the blender, so I'm not too surprised. And finally, we have Agents of Dwarf. Let's see if this team has done anything interesting, and it doesn't look like it. We have Simmons, a runner with block. We have Mac, a blitzer with tackle. We have Philly and May both getting guard. I am trying to stay awake at this point. We also have Deck with guard, but a niggling injury. It is +1 to future injuries. Dwarves don't care. Yeah, we also have Fitz, the other runner, with a +1 to future injuries. He also doesn't care because he has armor up the wazoo. Nothing interesting. Nothing surprising whatsoever. Dwarves just kill everyone. Alright, let's take a look at the leaderboard. And let's face it, you can all see these numbers. So let's just skip that and go straight to what's important. Finhale's Not Dead Just Yet and Dr. Helix's Monster Apocalypse have both been winning so overwhelmingly in this division that even if they lose badly in the last few games of this round, they're guaranteed a spot in the second round. So that means they can even afford to take some riskier plays in order to get those underdeveloped pieces some much needed SPP. Meanwhile, right under them, we have Laser Dentist's The Mean Green Dream, Placebo's Flying Floofs, and Big Rin Agents of Dwarf, all with only 2 victories, but those 2 at this point would mean they are very likely to be seen in the next round, unless they are nuffled absolutely horribly. And finally, at the bottom, we have Ace Pilot's Horus Heretics, Dafo's Noble's Trouble, Eric's Spanish Inquisition, Angry Panda's Plan Z, and Pumpkin Escobar's Tiger Rats, all so starved for victories at this point that they are going to be fighting for relevancy all the way up to the final day of this round. It's really going to be down to the wire for these guys, and it's going to be very exciting to watch as they get more and more desperate. Well, that's all I got for the CDT division so far. These last few games are going to be very key for those on the lower end around here. But the coachers have some time to practice during this holiday break. And this also gives me the time I need to finish and submit my rambling Brett playbook. Should be fun and interesting for you all to read, and somewhat embarrassing for me to show. I just hope some of the more veteran players will be willing to fill me in on some of the gaps I have about this team. But until then, have a happy holiday. Ow! Okay, that's it. I warned you. Come here, you little... Ew, it's everywhere. How did it... Look, Cadet, don't worry about my staff anymore. I'm just gonna do what I should have done in the first place. Get my own kind here. At least if I kill them, they just return from whence they came. And it shouldn't be too hard to perform the ritual, considering I have an extra week, and I believe there's a moonless night coming soon. But, yeah. Just don't send anyone over ever again. And, yeah, I hope the necromancer that gave you these zombies also gave you a receipt, because I don't think they're fixable. Happy holidays, and back to you.
Are you sure that you don't want this guy out of my corner? He's not a zombie. Or at least I don't think he's a zombie. Or I'm not quite sure what this guy is. But anyway, I kind of need him out of my corner. So, that's it for Bbpn this week. Official announcements. So remember that the extension happens on the 21st. So you have one more 3 days push, and then you have like a week or 2 week long, something like that, 10 days of a push. Okay, so make sure you double check the forums and all that good stuff. And I believe that Crippled asked me to advertise the Halfling Fling. That details for that is also on the forums, so go check that out. Alright, so that is it for Bbpn this week. This is Tank Sahan. Sometimes I lose, sometimes I win, but never bet against me.